All right. Welcome everyone to the gift of a better dashboard. Hope you've got your coffee ready. We'll make this within 30 minutes here and appreciate you joining today. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and get started. I'll keep my introduction brief. I know I see some names I recognize, but for those I haven't met before, my name is Austin Pretsch. I've been with Oasis for exactly 1 year and 2 days now. So I just rolled over my first anniversary here. But I've been in the NetSuite realm for a little over 6 years. So I've worked with a lot of clients, a lot of different industries. And the one thing that I've been consistently noticing is that more often than not, dashboards are just kind of underutilized. So when I was asked to present, this is what I wanted to focus on. And hopefully my gift today will be that you can walk away with a better understanding about how they can be used and start using them to their full potential. So without further ado, what's on the docket? So we're going to start with why dashboards matter. They're not just pretty visuals. And from there, we'll look at different types of dashboards, different examples for different roles, how they can be specifically tailored to those roles. And then we'll dive into the different portlets. Those are essentially the building blocks of a dashboard. They're different use cases. And more specifically, I'm going to show you guys how to make your own specific custom trend graph. If some of the out of the box options are not suitable for your company, show you how to make your own with the saved search. And then from there, we'll go over the basics of publishing a dashboard, some considerations you want to keep in mind when you do that. So we'll wrap up with a few minutes for questions, but we'll go ahead and just dive into it. So why do dashboards matter? Well, the number one reason is real-time insights, right? So having real-time data for income, expenses, inventory turnover, just to name some examples, that's critical for any business. But all of those data points can be front and center with a proper dashboard. And that's just going to make sure you can make quick decisions. And that's what you want to have front and center. It is your home screen after all. So number two, data visualization. So, saved searches can be super useful, but being able to visualize that data with what you have available on your dashboard is great. You can even download those images into JPEGs and PDFs, which we'll talk about that as well. So if you're doing a presentation, that data visualization is great. Number three, kind of overlooked, but improved communication. So I'll talk about this reminders portlet quite a bit today, but this can save you a lot of Teams messages and emails, right? So these are essentially designed to guide you with what you need to be focusing on your day. And a well-tailored dashboard, if you present it and frame it right, is going to keep, it just keeps you on track with what you need to be focused on. And then four is just efficiency. So again, I mentioned it's the home screen. It's supposed to be a time saver. Ideally, you spend the most time in NetSuite on your home screen. So if there's a saved search that you're using constantly, or anything you can do to streamline your workflow, things that you want to be acting on quickly, it's ideal to have it on your dashboard. So to illustrate this, I'm going to log into NetSuite as a few different roles and just how I've set up these dashboards for those specific roles, and just talk about and show the differences. So give me 1 second, I'll transition here. All right, so to start, I am logged in to NetSuite as a sales rep. And off the bat, you see I'm presented with all kinds of shortcuts and menus and charts and graphs. But just starting over here, my navigation shortcut group. So things that I need to easily access, like if I need to go create a quick sales order opportunity, right here, one click away, different tools, my calendars, my reports. Over to the right, I've got my KPIs. So I can see comparing how I'm doing this month versus last month. So new leads, we're down a little bit, but we still got some time in December. If I want to, I can even click on this to see just a quick visual of that. I've highlighted these four as the most important things that I'd like to see, but I can always change that. So I could go to setup and mark whether or not I want those to be headlined. I can set the default compare ranges. So we'll go through more of the mechanics of this later. But again, just as a sales rep, I've got my reminders here. So this is my actionable, my the things I need to be working on today. So I've got 14 hot leads. That's great. We like that number, but we have 16 opportunities to close. So I can click right into that and see here, okay, this is just a, a saved search that I've configured or somebody's configured it for me that I know I need to focus on. Scrolling down for the sales rep specifically, I really like this one, available to sell. So if I'm sitting at my desk and I get a phone call from a customer and they ask, hey, do we have this in stock? I don't have to go anywhere else in NetSuite. I've got it right here on my dashboard. I can just type in that item name and tell them whether or not I can sell that to them today or they need to wait a little bit. So to illustrate some more, just kind of this example of the reminders portlet, I've got a sales order that needs to be approved. So I'm going to hop into the sales manager role. We'll take a look at their dashboard. So right off the bat, I've got one sales order to approve. And so when I sit down at my desk, I know that's the first thing I need to be working on. And so again, this is just the things that I need to be focused on today. If you configure reminders portlet correctly, that's the goal. And I always like to have it in the top left because I think this is the best and most important portlet. They're all great, but we'll go ahead and click into that. And I can go ahead and just submit that. Going to approve that sales order. Sometimes these demo instances are a little bit slower. All right, successfully approved. So that's good. Now we'll hop into the controller role and take a look at their dashboard. All right. So as the controller, we know that sales order has been approved. Actually, I'm going to hop into the inventory manager role instead. That would make a little more sense because we need to fulfill the sales order. All right, so we have a busy day here as the inventory warehouse operations. And so this is obviously more tailored to a warehouse operator. If I need to quickly create an inventory adjustment, inventory transfer, those are all one click away here. KPIs are a little bit different as well. So I can see my inventory fluctuation today versus last month. My KPI meters, what's the value of the inventory we have in our warehouse? So just to give you some ideas here, but we'll go ahead and take a look. My orders to fulfill, it's going to have this order I just approved. All right, we're going to send Sun Studio an iPad, I believe. So we'll submit that. And we'll go ahead and market shift. So what I want to illustrate is, as we're going through this, I'm really just going off the reminders portlet as I'm seeing this through. So now the warehouse operations, they had the reminders portlet updated with one more order to fulfill. They have a lot more to do. But now we'll hop into the controller role. Take a look at their dashboard. So as a controller, I can see things like the balance sheet, the income statement, the trial balance. My key performance indicators are different as well. So I can see my sales, expenses, receivables. My monthly sales trend. How are my sales and COGS and expenses comparing? Top 5 customers by sales. This is a good one. But here again, we're going to go to the sales orders to invoice. You see this through. There's our Sun Studios right there. submit that. Once this completes, we'll hop over to another role. There we go. All right, so we've invoiced the sales orders. So we'll take a look now at the AR analyst role. So as the AR analyst, it's all about calling people, making sure we get paid on time, right? So again, just some key performance indicators to look at quickly here. So we've got our receivables are up. That's great. New customers down. We want to make that green. So quick and easy to glance at. Let's take a quick look at the AR aging report, though. And we'll scroll down to Sun Studios. And within one single click, I can see all of this outstanding information. Clicking into that, 2 clicks. Now I'm at the detail of Sun Studios. So just to illustrate again, the ability to get to this level of information within 3 clicks of my home screen with a well-tailored dashboard is pretty amazing. So now I want to dive into some of the features of the dashboard more specifically, right? So I'm going to go back to my sales role. And just some good tips here. So number one, to personalize your dashboard, you can click up here. And you've got your standard content, suite apps, and things that you've currently used. So for standard content, you have a lot of basic things. So like the calendar, if you use the calendar in NetSuite, not a lot of people do, but you can add that and you can see your different tasks and events, things like that. Custom portlet, that's going to be if you have a developer in-house and you've created your own HTML portlet. Also not as used as often, but custom search. This is one of my favorites. So this is going to be a saved search that you're using all the time. Super easy to add that in and just select that under setup here. So we'll just add that. You can add a custom title if you'd like. You can predefine the amount of results that show, but what some people don't realize is if you want to see more than 10, you can click this expand button. It's going to take up your full screen. Goodness, just spilled my water. Sorry about that. Well, sure. I like to talk to my hands sometimes. Sorry, that's a demo file right there. But looks like we're good. So we'll continue on. These purchase orders, anyway, you can use this like a normal saved search. So if you've defined filters at the top, they're going to show up at the top. This one does not have that, but you can drill down and go to different pages. And so that's super useful. This is the demo. So just to point this one out, actually, this is a free, I believe, suite app that you can install called Dashboard Tiles. And so if you go into your NetSuite environment and you don't see this, you can always go to Suite Apps, and I'll try and send a link after this meeting just to make sure of that. But there are some free tiles and things like that that you can download and add to NetSuite that, so for example, another one, you have Subsidiary Navigator if you're multi-subsidiary, that can be useful to illustrate the subsidiaries you have. Here back on standard content, just pointing out some of my favorites here. We'll go over trend graphs here in a minute, but all pretty standard. And of course, you can just drag and drop your tiles, right? So if I don't want to see this at the top, I want to have this. This is a matter of just doing that. For layout, you can always change your layout as well. So some people don't realize if I want to do 3 columns instead. Super easy to do that. And now I can have, say I've got a big monitor, I may want to use this instead. And then this one is super useful. So if I go, I'm going to actually go back to my sales manager role. And so by default, I have this set to generally this month versus last month. And that's true across all of my portlets at once, right? On a monthly basis, this month versus last month, monthly. But if I want to change all of these at the exact same time to compare, instead of using the portlet date settings, I can change them all with one single click. Let's just say we want to do this year versus last year and hit done. And they're all going to automatically refresh at the same time. So I can get this update all at once. And so this updates to this fiscal year. This is going to be comparative. I don't have a whole lot of data for last year, but just as an example of how you can do that. All right. So we're going to switch gears now. I'm going to show more specifically. So with trend graphs, I do want to show some of the default ones. There are a lot of great default trend graphs. Before we dive into custom ones, I just want to show, hey, you may not need to create a custom one. So things like average days overdue, average days to pay. We'll take a look at new or at orders. And of course, trend graph is just going to be generally a linear graph showing you over time, comparing. You can add the moving average in. But let's say you want to track something more specific. So if your company has like a custom record or something that maybe there's a specific filter you want to add, there's a saved search that you want to track that is not covered by these out of the box ones, we'll talk about how to, I'll show you how to do that real quick. So let me switch back actually to the PowerPoint. So again, out of the box, there's a lot, but by building a saved search with these three criteria, you can actually make your own. And so it's super easy. One, your saved search cannot have any date fields in the criteria. It has to have exactly one field with a summary type and results. And thirdly, there's a date field in the available filters tab. So with those three things, you'll be able to use your own saved search with your own criteria. So again, it could be certain customers, timeframes. If you want to look at a specific region, you just have to have these three criteria. So I'll show you an example. We'll go take a look at this saved search I built. So Bert is a sales rep. I was just logged in as him, but we want to see the number of sales orders he's creating over a period of time as an example. So again, under criteria of this saved search, I just have the type is sales order, sales rep is Bert. Within results, I'm doing the count of the internal ID. Whenever you're trying to find the count of a record, internal ID is a great option. You know that you're not going to get duplicative. It's going to be an accurate count, right? So you're not using like blind level information. And then under available filters, I just have the date of the transaction here. So with that, NetSuite's going to see that I've created a search with these three criteria. I can now add it as a custom KPI. So if I click setup, and what all I need to do, I can give it a custom title. So we'll say Bert's sales orders created. You probably have a more useful metric in mind. You scroll down here when you're selecting the KPI to, you have up to 10 custom KPIs. So we're going to use the number 1 custom KPI. And then under default trend type, I had pre-selected this, but these are just all of the saved searches in NetSuite that meet this criteria. So meaning they don't have a date criteria. Again, they have a date filter and they have at least actually exactly one summary type. So we'll use this number of sales orders, Bert. If I want to, I can select a custom color for Bert. So let's say we want them to be purple. If I created another saved search for a different sales rep, I could have them I could actually add that into this exact same chart. So actually, I'll go ahead and do that. So we got Bert here now. But you can overlay data too. So we'll take a quick copy of this. Let's see, we want to compare Bert to Ed. We'll go back over here. And now we can add another custom KPI. Oops, I need to use custom KPI there. Select that. And now we've got our Ed one. So it's automatically brought in here, even though I just made that. We'll say Ed is blue. If I want to, I can select, by default, I want it to be monthly. I could also do daily, weekly, showing the moving average. We can tell NetSuite how to calculate that moving average. So I'll show you. That's actually this line here, if you can see that. So we'll save. This is now going to refresh. And I can see that Ed is not doing nearly as well as Bert. So, it's really good for comparing things like that as well. So that's just an example of how to use trend graphs. A lot of those custom KPIs that I just created, though, too, you can even add to a key performance indicator portlet too. So if I wanted to have, if I wanted to add Bert's sales orders created here, I could do that since it's now considered a KPI, a custom KPI, like I just selected up there. All right, so moving on, I do want to wrap up with how to publish a dashboard and some of the considerations to take when you do that. So publishing dashboards, lots of pros and cons, right? So by doing so, you ensure that your users have a consistent view of a lot of the things you want them to focus on, different reports, shortcuts, things like that. Everybody's going to be aligned. But if you've been in NetSuite for a while, you do want to be careful considering if you choose to override somebody's dashboard, that's not a reversible action. So if somebody spent a lot of time building out their dashboard and they love it the way it is, you want to be careful about overriding settings like that. Secondly, if you do build a dashboard and you want to publish it, you have to make sure it's in the same role center as the one you want to publish to. So I'll show you what I mean by that. If I log back into NetSuite here, right now I'm in a sales manager role. The sales manager role is in the sales center. So if I wanted to if I built this dashboard out and I'm Tracy and I, for some reason, build it out for somebody in accounting, I'm not going to be able to publish to the accounting role because they're not in the sales center. So if you're ever curious about what center you're using, you can always take a look at the role. I'm not in the administrator role right now, so I'm not going to show that. But actually, if you go down to publish dashboard here, we'll walk through how this works. So I've built this out. It's beautiful. This is how I want my sales reps to use NetSuite. All I need to do is give it a name. I can confirm that it is in the sales center. So any roles that I have available to select here are only going to be in the sales center. Give it an ID. Any notes I want to do. A couple of options here. If I want to lock the shortcuts, I can do that. So that's going to allow, if you want them to be able to add shortcuts or not, you can select that. And then this is the portlet. So over here, if you remember at the beginning, I pointed out where you can quickly access or create new records. That's that bar there. It's what this is referring to. So when I'm ready to publish, I'm going to select the role that I want to publish to, say the sales role. And here I can choose whether or not to override that user settings. So let's say I just want it to apply. If I just hired a new salesperson and I don't want to touch any of the existing salespeople's dashboards, I can uncheck this. So then when they do start using NetSuite, by default is going to be the dashboard that I have created, but it's not going to mess up anybody's dashboard that currently has a well-configured dashboard and don't want to upset anyone. Under tabs, we're going to apply to tabs. So actually, one thing I want to also call out is I've been focused on the home tab here, but each one of these tabs in a center can have their own dashboard, or at least most of them can. So if I went to leads, just like on my home screen, I can actually create my own unique leads dashboard here. And so this is a good example of a well crafted dashboard specific to leads. Got one for customers over here. So as I go through this, I can choose whether I just want to publish over the home tab, or if I want to also, if I've customized these other tabs, I want to check those other tabs as well. And then I have my mode. So unlocked is going to be totally, so once I do it, they can change it however they want. I can also set it to locked. So once they log in, they're not going to be able to touch their dashboard. It is what it is. Or I can have it so they can at least add or move the content on their screen. So if they want to be able to drag and drop the portlets to different areas, they can do that, or they can add new ones. So again, we've just selected the role. We're going to choose not to override the settings. So only new users logging into NetSuite have this dashboard. We're going to apply, and we'll say add new content. So I like some of the stuff I'm putting on there. And then the translation is, if you're in multiple countries, you can use that tab as well. From there, all you do is hit save. So it's going to warn me, hey, this role already has a dashboard. If you want to remove the role and add it back, you can click OK. It's basically just confirming that you're doing this. So it's going to save. And next time that role, or if I add a new user now, they're going to log in and they're going to have my published dashboard. So yeah, that's that. I do want to, I know we only got a couple minutes here, but if there are any questions, I'd love to welcome those now. If not, then I really appreciate your time. You've been a great audience. Not seeing any questions. So if you think of one later, feel free to email help@oasisky.com. We have a lot of experience with, oh, Mike. Hello, Mike. What do you got? I see a hand raised. Oh, wait, I am just now seeing the comment section. Okay, I see now. Okay, so when you were in the WS Manager role, you showed the graphic tiles at the top. Yes, let me hop back in there. Got a little extra time, so. Joel, thank you. I've got water all over my floor. I need to go clean up now. I appreciate I'm glad this was helpful. All right, so for these tiles, so Mike, what you'll want to do this is, again, I think this is the add-on, so it may not be a default. I believe it's called dashboard tiles. I will follow up. I'll send you an email and just make sure. I'm pretty sure it's a free Suite app that you can install, though. And once you do, you can configure this however you want to. Great question, though. Let's see. And actually, if I go to currently used, I should be able to see, yeah, tiles. So that green C means it's a custom portlet that NetSuite is, yeah. So it's a Suite app that you can download. And I'll send you the information on that. All right, so we're at the top of our time here. Anybody else have any questions? Mike, appreciate you raising your hand. I totally was missing the comment section here, but glad I was able to address that. If nothing else, think of something later, feel free to shoot us an email. And otherwise, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining, and appreciate your time. Hope this was helpful.